So I've got Zola Blood in the studio. Welcome to Virgin Radio. Welcome to Music Discovery. I've got Ed, Sam, Matt and Paul. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good.
What has been going on in the Zola Blood camp of late?
We've got a record out.
Yeah, just casual. Put a record out.
Put a record out, which is a bit of a long time coming. That came out in the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been sort of trying to figure out how we're going to promote that, basically.
Exciting times. The album, you must have had a good reaction from the people that have already become engaged with the band and the music that you make.
Yeah.
It's been really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So we, it's like Matt said, it's been quite a while coming, and the reception has been amazing, really. Like, we were kind of overwhelmed but when we released our first couple of EPs, did a lot better than we expected, and really enjoyed getting stuck into an album and just having that, people reacting to the whole long play thing as a sort of meaty concept. It's been really good.
Yeah.
You get a bit like, I think, because when you're sitting on something or writing something for such a long time, you do kind of get a little bit wobbly about how it's gonna go down, and if it's just between the four of you in the same room and you're like, is this good? Is this good? Is this good? And then, so obviously when you release it, there's kind of a bit of a wave of relief. So it's been, it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Wave of relief that people love it. People like me. It is such a beautiful record. It's so dark and layered, and the synths just envelop you. It's just headphone listening, or designed to be cranked up very, very loud.
Definitely.
What were you envisaging? Did you make it for like a nighttime feel kind of record when you were making it?
I think we did talk about that a bit, kind of. We love that kind of music, where you can just put your headphones on and sort of forget about stuff. So yeah, we kind of had that idea in our minds. It's quite like, I don't want to say understated, but it's kind of in that place where I'm trying to figure out how to describe it.
It's the kind of thing you should listen to at 3 a.m. on the bus home.
Exactly.
It's not like a getting ready. Well, as in when we were writing it, it was never a kind of let's write music that people are going to put on to like get Larry to, or like get hyped to, or anything like that. For us, it was always about someone sitting and having a personal connection with it, rather than anything that's just on in the background at a party.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the reception has been that, as you said, like it's something that envelops you, and that's the biggest compliment, I think.
Yeah. And I think if you've got if you're into electronic music, I often find that more downplayed melancholy sound. Yours is euphoric and melancholy in part. It's not fully like miserable dance music album at all. But I love that. I love that sort of
Just crying with your headphones
sound. Yeah, because you can. It just takes you to somewhere else, doesn't it?
Crying while dancing.
Crying.
That's one of the sort of manifestos we came up with a while back.
Yeah.
If we can get people to. There's more live. If we can get people to dance while crying, that's just life's complete.
Yeah. And have you managed it? Have you seen the glistening eyes? Yeah.
I think I've seen
yeah.
a couple of people crying.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Usually arm rounds their friend.
Yeah.
Digging in.
Just completely overwhelmed by it,
I
basically.
think I saw my dad cry.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think we need to get it played in some clubs though, and then see if there's some sort of mass epiphany of tears going on, because that would be amazing.
Yeah, maybe you should host like a crying listening club party for the album.
It's an amazing idea.
Sponsored by Kleenex.
So you've kindly come in and performed in the Virgin Red Room, in the glass box, the box of dreams. I'm going to talk through some of the tracks that you've played today. So let's start with Good Love.
So so Paul kind of wrote most of Good Love over Christmas one time, and we kind of just pinged it around between us. And so the way we tend to write is that we'll share little snippets with each other, and someone will write something on top, and then it will get shared around again. And that was like a year ago or something. The song's really just about kind of having a good time and being with people who make you feel good. It's pretty as simple as that.
Well, let's hear it. This is Zola Blood in session for Music Discovery and Good Love. It's a very DIY record in the way that you guys have put it together, and you recorded it in your studio in Hackney Wick. I'm always really intrigued by people's studios. Can you describe it? Like, is it?
It's really messy, actually, our studio, and there's like one single yellow wall, and all the other walls are sort of like off-white. So it's quite bright. So if you're kind of hungover, not feeling particularly well, and you kind of spend the morning in there, it can be intense.
Really?
Yeah.
We painted that wall there intentionally, didn't we? Thinking that we'd heard it was like supposed to be yellow, supposed to be a really creative colour, and so it was always going to stimulate our writing process, but it just gives us a headache.
Yeah. Has it actually turned into a nightmare? It's too much sunshine.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's good. It's good. We kind of probably spend a bit too long there, and it gets a little bit strange at times. But it's been good for us. We've done a lot of recording there, like you say, kind of DIY. We learnt a load of stuff. So in that sense, it's been kind of a useful space for us to use.
Yeah. Is it a room? Is it a
It's
proper
a little bit
studio?
bigger than this. A little bit bigger than this.
Okay.
It's pretty pokey. Yeah.
Just to paint the picture, this is very small. Probably just about enough room to swing a cat.
We've kind of got a pretty basic setup. Sam's kind of the technical guy. Time's the main thing. Like if you can get time, then everything becomes much easier.
Yeah.
And when you're kind of in a high pressure, having your own studio setup just means that you can spend as long as you need, which is quite long for us.
Yeah. You all like the ultimate perfectionists. Who is the one of you that says, guys, we got this, let's move on?
That's a good question.
Probably Paul.
Yeah.
Paul's, you're pretty happy guy.
Yeah, pretty happy with First Take, free-form jazz. No, also, we've got no windows in our studio, so it can get to a certain point where you kind of go, right, guys,
we need
let's
to
wrap this
go.
up.
Yeah.
Let's go outside for a bit. Let's just take a break or something like that. But
It's when you start to feel like all the oxygen has drained from your eyeballs.
yeah,
And you like
everyone's
can't
there.
actually see properly.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time just to stop now.
Just a film of yellow.
Maybe we should spend less than 1 week on a hi-hat sound. No, we're not that bad.
Do you think there are bands that are that bad?
Oh, there must certainly be. Yeah, I can imagine. Or a lot of people, I can imagine people who are single projects on their own.
Yeah.
They could probably get lost in their own arse.
Yeah.
And just get completely lost in their own sound.
Yeah. I've got Zola Blood in session, and it's time to talk about the second track that you have recorded for the show. So this one, also from the album Infinite Games, is called Islands. What can you say about it?
Islands was like a bedroom thing. So we, when we were making the records, we had a load of demos, and I think we'd finished like 6 songs or something, and we weren't really kind of loving the demos that we had. So I was at home in the flat one time and just started fiddling around with a little riff that we'd written during a recording session, and then I put these kind of like slightly stupid claps in, which kind of managed to stay in the song actually, but and I don't know how. And then it was just a little sketch, and we kind of brought it into the studio. The song itself is from just like a passing conversation that I heard when I was at a festival with a friend, and she said she was talking about how it had been raining all night, and her and her boyfriend had been like covered in rain, and they were together like islands, which just kind of stuck in my head. So it's kind of about those two. They don't know that actually, but yeah, it's about 2 people.
Will you ever tell them?
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
One day. I'm waiting for the right moment.
I'm sure a lot of people recently I went to Secret Garden Party the other week, and that was pretty muddy. And pretty rainy, and then Why Not Festival last weekend.
It cancelled, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously Glastonbury. Been many muddy Glastonburys.
It sucks.
Such a shame when it's like it's so hit and miss in the UK. One weekend you'll have scorching sunshine, and then the next weekend it's just the mud apocalypse.
It sucks.
It does suck. So I'm sure everyone can relate to that image, and listening to the song now will take that with them when they hear it. This is Islands, recorded by Zola Blood in session on Virgin Radio.
Water cuts around
called the album Infinite Games, and this was inspired by a James P. Carson novel about game theory, suggesting that it's better to stay in the game rather than there be a winner or a loser.
Yeah, that's kind of the literal interpretation, I guess, which doesn't quite translate into some of the lyrics, I guess. But the takeaway for me from that book was just that there are lots of kind of rules that have been set up in our society, and sort of we all just apply ourselves to those rules without really kind of thinking about it. And part of that system is that there's always a start and an end to something. There's always a winner and a loser. So the premise of that book is just that, you know, there doesn't always have to be a start and an end. There doesn't always have to be a winner and a loser. You can just kind of carry on in life and not worry about kind of trying to get to the top of the ladder in whatever that is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think when I read it and when we were writing the record, I was kind of, you know, I know a lot of people who've got careers and stuff and trying to figure out what they're doing with their lives, and it just seems to kind of fit a little bit with kind of the sentiment that I was feeling at the time. A lot of the songs are about relationships and other themes, but it's just something that we took, and I thought the Infinite Games, like that, the wordplay was kind of really nice.
Yeah, definitely. It's like endless. How did you guys all meet? How did you come to be in Zola Blood?
Well, I think Ed and Matt met at university.
You're not talking though.
And Ed is here, but he's gone shy. They met at Sheffield Uni and were playing in some sort of garage rock bands, which we won't mention the name of. I was in another band called Under the Igloo, which is sort of indie electronic kind of thing, and we actually shared a studio down in Elephant and Castle. And when Under the Igloo split up, they at the same time lost their drummer, so I joined, and then we got Paul a couple of years ago, in very similar circumstances.
Yeah, just the studio we're in now. I was in another band called Boxer Ghost, and these guys lost their guitarist, and Boxer Ghost has split up, and they were like,
Paul was sleeping on the sofa in the studio for a little bit.
Yeah, basically, no joke. And then they had a gig coming up, and they were like, "Hey, Paul, you know, please will you play guitar in this gig?" And I was like, "No." And then they were like, "Please," and I said, "Oh, all right then." And then they were like, "Oh, we've got another gig," and I was like, "Oh, fine, I'll do that other gig." And then another gig came up, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to write some songs?" And then
the rest is
it's been
history.
a few years, yeah.
It sounds like you really played hard to get.
Yeah, you know, never be too easy.
Yeah, you gotta play it cool.
Yeah.
And now for your final track, Silhouettes. This is beautiful. This finishes the album.
Just about, yeah. There's one more.
Is there one more?
Yeah.
Oh, is it the one before one before the end?
Yeah.
What can you say about this one? Is there anything that springs to mind when you think about this track?
That one started out as like a little ditty that Matt wrote, just him and vocals and guitar, and sent it around, and we were all really into it, but sort of it didn't quite sit with the other stuff that we were working on at the time, mainly I think because it was just kind of vocals and guitar, so we sort of messed around with it in the studio together and put a beat there and put some more synths on, and it just sort of fell into place after that, really.
Yeah, it's kind of about when you meet someone that can be in like the most innocuous situation. They might just, I don't know, like serve you a cup of coffee, and you can kind of somehow have this strange chemical thing that happens out of nowhere. So that's kind of the sentiment of the song.
Paul makes quite a weird guitar sound using a pound coin. Yeah.
Ooh.
Which every time we go to play the song live, he's always lost a pound coin. So it's always quite funny.
So what can you let us in on the technique, or is it top secrets?
No, it's not that. It's not. It's quite a common. I think I stole it from Johnny Greenwood, to be honest.
Did you?
Yeah. So it's just like rubbing the pound coin against the fretboard. But annoyingly, it doesn't work as well with the new pound coin. So I literally have this one old pound coin because they're trying to push them out. Right?
Yeah.
And so I've got this £1 coin that I just refuse to leave. I'm gonna I carry it around with me all the time.
Yeah.
I can't spend it. It's annoying.
What happens if you were to lose that?
Well,
It'd be a
then obviously
nightmare.
I'll find another one, I'm sure. But it's just I can't be asked. So.
Not if they're discontinued.
I know.
You need
I'll just
to
get
get
one
a stash.
specially made. Yeah.
You need to get a whole bag of them right now while you can.
Get another guitarist who has old
£1 coin. Yeah, it's just loads of effects pedals as well, so it's cheating. I'm not really doing much. But it sounds wicked.
I never knew Johnny Greenwood had this pound coin trick.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, here it is. This is Silhouette, recorded by Zola Blood in session for Virgin Radio Music Discovery.
West wind broke your cigarette and a cold